Today we're going to create a seamless repeat in Procreate on the Apple iPad, bursting with sweet strawberries. You can follow along with me using your own colour palette, or you can download my colour palette for free using the link in the description below. Hi, I'm Mel. I'm an illustrator and surface pattern designer living in the coolest capital in the world, Wellington, New Zealand. Let's jump into this tutorial. Okay, to start with, I have got a canvas here that is 3000 by 3000 pixels, but you can do it any size you like. And to start off, we're going to create a layer for the background. So on layer 1 here, using a colour palette that you can download for free, I'm going to use this light pink colour here and drag it onto the canvas for the background. And then on another layer above, I'm going to select this red, and we're going to use the drawing brush called Blackburn, but you can use whatever brush you want. And I'm just going to draw 3 strawberries. Now strawberries kind of have a heart shape, so if I just draw a shape like that, smooth that out a bit and colour that in. Let's just increase the size of my brush. This brush gives it a nice little texture on the edge, which I really like. And then I'm going to draw another one over here. And then one more over here. And then I want to move this one over a little bit, so I'm just going to select the selection tool, make sure this is on freehand and this is just on add. And then if you select that by drawing around it and then select the transform tool, I can then move it across. So I'm just going to turn my snapping off so that I can freely move that around. And I might twist that around. Let's have one that's kind of upside down, and I might make it a bit smaller as well. And then release it by clicking on the transform tool again. And now on another layer I'm going to draw some stems, and for this I'm just going to go to the sketching library and use the 6B pencil, and I'm just going to draw some stems with some leaves. Now I'm doing this quite rough. I quite like the sketchy type of look. And then let's create another layer in between that layer and the base of the strawberries. And in here I'm going to choose this dark black, and we're going to draw some seeds on the strawberry. I'm going to stick with the 6B pencil for this one. I'm just doing some little dash-like seeds. Okay, next I'm going to give the strawberries some shadow and light. So on a layer above the strawberry base layer, I'm going to create a new layer, then I'm going to clip that to the base layer. I'm going to change it to multiply and then choose the same colour as the base. And I might use this one here called Artist Crayon. Let's see what that does. It gives it a nice texture. So I'm just putting a shadow on one side and then underneath the leaves. I might turn the opacity down just a little bit so it's not so intense. And then I'll add another layer on top of that and clip it again. This time I'm going to change it, the blending mode, to overlay, and I'm going to select the white colour and we're going to add a highlight to the top. And then once again I'm going to turn that opacity down a little bit. So it just gives it a nice shadow and highlight. And I'm going to select all those strawberry elements and just group them together. And then I'm going to add some shade and highlight to the stalks as well. So create one layer above that, clip it, turn it to the blending mode, multiply, and select the green colour. And just add a bit of texture to those. Just a little bit, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And I'll turn that down as well. And then let's add another layer, clip it, and use the white, change to the blending mode to overlay, and add some highlight. Okay, I'm going to group those, and then I'm going to group both of those and name them strawberries. And next I want to create some filler motifs. So I'm going to create some little strawberry flowers. So I'm going to keep that white colour, and I'm going to go back to the drawing and I'm going to select the copperhead. Just lower the size. Actually no, I might select the Blackburn again. And a strawberry flower has 5 petals, so let's zoom in here, and I'm just going to draw 5 petals like that. And I'm just going to do a few of those around in the spaces. We can make them different sizes. They don't have to be perfect. And then I want to add some yellow to the center of them. So I'm going to select the yellow. I'm just going to keep it on the same layer. And then I want to add another layer and add some leaves as well. I'm going to keep the Blackburn again. Just make sure you don't go off the edge of the canvas. Okay, and I think I'm going to add a couple more flowers. So I'm going to go back to my flower layer, click on the selection tool, and I'm just going to grab this one, grab this one here. And I'm going to use 3 fingers to swipe down and select copy, and then 3 fingers to swipe down and click paste. And then I have that flower and I can drag it and put it in the space there. And I might duplicate that one and put another one down here. Just want to fill the gaps nicely. Maybe one more. And then I will merge these flower layers by just pinching them all together. And then I'm kind of happy with that. Actually, I just want to move this one here. So I'm going to select it and then use the transform just to move it up slightly. Okay, so let's grab all of those layers by swiping right, clicking on group, and this is going to be our beginning base layer that we want to keep. We don't want to change this. This is just so that we have a backup. So I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to turn off that original one, and I might lock it as well. And now we're going to create our pattern. So to do that, I'm going to duplicate that one again. And I'm going to turn off that first one, and with this one selected, I'm going to click on the selection transform tool, click on snapping, and make sure magnetics and snapping is turned on and that the distance and velocity is all the way to max. And then we are going to click and drag to the left and make sure you've got 2 orange lines here, and that will tell you that it is lined up. It should snap there, but sometimes it can be a bit temperamental. And then release that, and then select the layer below and drag this one to the right. Okay, we've got our orange lines going both ways, and I can release that. And then I'm going to fill in these little bits here just by moving some things around. So before I do that, I want to group all the elements that are the same. So the leaves, so if I select that layer with the leaves on it and that layer, group them and then merge that layer. And then don't worry that they've disappeared, they've just gone behind this one here. So let's select the flowers, group, and then flatten, and then the strawberries, group, and then flatten, and then the background layers, group, flatten, and we'll just grab those leaves and put them back on the top there. And now I just want to move some elements around and make this gap less gappy. So I'm just going to grab this flower, just make sure I'm on my flowers layer, and then move that across. Let's turn the snapping off so we can move it freely. And then I might move this one here. And I might actually add another strawberry. So I'm going to go to my strawberry layer, use my selection tool to select the strawberry. I'm going to use 3 fingers to swipe down and select copy, 3 fingers to swipe down and select paste. So now we have a copy of our strawberry. I'm going to place that up here. And then I just need to merge that down with the other strawberries, and then we can just move these out of the way. So let's move this one first. So now we have a canvas where it repeats on the sides, but we also need it to repeat at the top and the bottom. So let me just fix this flower here that is overlapping. Let's put him over here. So I'm going to duplicate this group, and then I'm going to move it to the top. I'm going to make sure that magnetics is turned on and snapping. And then we are going to move this one to the top. Now if you have trouble finding that orange line, sometimes I can't tell. So I'm going to go back. If I turn off that other layer, it makes it a little bit easier. See, now I can see it. And then if I turn that one back on and go down, let's Try that again. Okay, and then once again I'm going to merge the layers. So I'm going to select the flowers, group, then merge, flatten, then the leaves, group, flatten, strawberries, group, flatten, background layer, group, flatten. Let's move those flowers back up again. Okay, now we have the top repeating with the bottom and the sides, but we still have a few gaps, so I'm just going to make some adjustments to fill in those gaps. Okay, now we have a repeating tile. The last thing we need to do is actually test that the repeat works nicely and that we haven't overlapped anything. So we've got our group here. I'm just going to turn off all the other layers, including that background layer, and I'm going to use 3 fingers to swipe down and select copy all, and then 3 fingers to swipe down and select paste. And what that does is it creates a flattened layer. So with that, I'm going to duplicate it so that I have 4. And then we are going to reduce the size of them to the 4 corners, and we want to have snapping on for this to work. So let's start with the top one, and I'm going to put that in the top left. Just wait till it snaps. And then let's do the next one to the top right. Make sure you get those yellow lines. And then the next one to the bottom left. And then the last one. And there we have a repeating pattern. So now you actually have, if we merge those 4 together, we have this smaller scale repeat tile, and we also have a large scale repeat tile. And that is it. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.